So here, episode 10. That's
There we
exciting,
are.
isn't it? 10. That's like a lot. That's really good. Like it is, isn't it? Like, we've been able to do this, and we've had some great feedback throughout, and we've met some amazing people so far. And yet again, we've brought someone else on with us today.
Definitely, yeah.
So Erin's going to come in. He's coming in, joining us, and he's going to tell us, hopefully,
His experience and fun in the game of the field that we call home.
yeah. Hopefully we'll learn about, obviously, what you've been up to, all the cool stuff you've done, and also, hopefully, some sort of, I say hopefully, but the trials and tribulations, the stuff you've actually gone through and how you've dealt with them. Because the idea of all this is, we get to talk and we have loads of fun about it, but then we also get a chance to hopefully have that maybe one or two listeners that go, oh, actually, I've gone through that, or I'm going through that, and maybe we can help them survive a little bit longer in the world of hospitality.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, first off though, I do want to ask you, how's the last month when we spoke? Sam's left. Sam's gone. He just couldn't cope with the challenge.
Those steps part him off.
How have you got on with that? Have you found it's helped you in any way at work and things like that?
Well, I absolutely failed.
Excellent.
So, First 2 weeks, I think I did longer than I expected to.
Yeah.
Especially with reading, because highly dyslexic. But I sat there, read my chess book most nights, and I dabbled in some of the books that Bernie was reading.
Chess book.
Yeah.
Do chess.
I fucking love chess.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
It's one of his things.
Yeah.
One of those things you've gone, I like chess now, and that's it, 100% all in.
Is it chess book so it's just pictures instead of words? Is that why you've gone for the chess book?
Oh
No.
yeah, is it just pictures of people? Here's a move.
No. So it's so each page has like a few different paragraphs, and then there'll be like a demonstration of a chessboard.
Teaching you how to do special moves.
Yeah. It teaches you the basics and like some advanced stuff and new openings and
Like combos in Street Fighter.
yeah, basically yeah.
arrows.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, because some openings can be like 15 moves long, and other openings are like 27 moves long. So you have to understand that, and you don't have to understand it from just your point of view. You have to understand it from your most common opponent moves. So if I move like one pawn and then my opponent moves a pawn, then it can change the opening completely. But yeah, that's basically the book.
Excellent.
Right? Yeah, sounds.
So how did you notice any difference? So, because I want to ask Erin in a minute, but like for me, getting that extra sleep, getting that extra actually solid sleep and stuff like that actually really has sort of helped me a lot. Did you notice any particular change?
Well, putting my phone down and then reading the book, and then me and Bernie got in a routine then of sitting there reading at the same time and falling asleep together. The first week I found it like I did sleep better, but the second week, same routine and everything, I just went back to normal, not being able to sleep much and being a fidget. So
what about you, Erin? Do you have like a routine as best you can with obviously the work we do, but do you have it right when I get home, I read for a bit or play my phone for ages, or what's your sort of calm down method before you go?
I mean, I kind of actively sit and do nothing when I get back.
Yeah.
Usually, whether it's late, whether it's early, whatever shift I'm on, I'm kind of very actively, no TV, no phone, whether I'm reading a book, listening to a podcast. I've kind of always actively sat for at least an hour, just go through the process of making a cup of tea as slow as possible.
Yeah.
And just trying to, not really like decompress after the day, because sometimes it's stressful and sometimes you don't want to dwell on the day too much. But I've always kind of actively been quite good at I'm just going to sit for at least an hour and do nothing, actively just let my brain turn off, reset, go away from being customer service hospitality Ehren and kind of get back into being a bit more human.
Yeah, I think because it's something I only picked up a little while ago. So for me, it's just a whole new world. So it's like really changed stuff for me. Whereas, before it'd just be I'd like get in bed and just be on my phone.
Yeah, doom scrolling.
Yeah, or playing a game that's absolutely irrelevant with about 1,000 adverts every 3 seconds.
I tell you what though, we did this. You're on board with this because you were playing with me. So as soon as Diablo came out with the new season, that's what destroyed it. I stopped reading, then I started playing that.
See how it distracted. Yeah, it's one of those though. Okay, so like obviously you're here today, Erin, and we sort of want to find out all about your kind of experiences. So, what first made you go, okay, cool, I want to serve drinks and be in this sort of world of hospitality? Or was your first job actually even at a bar? What was it?
Yeah, so I've kind of always been around pubs and bars. Mum has always been pubs and bars since she was, school. She was trained to be a chef. She's worked in pubs, she's worked in kitchens. And then when she got a bar manager job previously, I was spending summer holidays, half terms, couldn't afford childcare, so me and my sister were sat in the pub.
Yeah.
Kind of, we were on shift with mum effectively. Getting
free labour.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like 8 years old. I do remember sitting in the pub on a random Sunday in, summer holidays because we had to.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been around it. And then when we moved up to Yorkshire, that's when mum got her own pub at last. And so I became landlady's son.
Yeah.
And, that's...
all the perks and privileges.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time, it feels great fun. And as you get older, that then, there are more issues with that being a, 16-year-old where your entire... You feel like a little minor celebrity in your town. Like,
everyone knows who you are.
Everybody knows who you are. Your business is just talk of the town. And there's so many like funny stories that you used to get back to mum about like what I'd been up to. Mum would just be like, well, no, he's still Ehren. He's sat up in his room painting Warhammer. He definitely hasn't set fire to a bus stop. Like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
So no, I've always kind of been around it, and that's where I started working. So pot washing, veg prep in the kitchen, and started doing that when I was about 13. Mum taught me how to do a bit of cellar management when I got to that point where I was a bit stronger than her, so I was lifting barrels for her, line cleaning, things like that.
So even though that you were second generation bar royalty, you still had to go through the depths.
Oh yeah, 100%. And,
That's good though, isn't it? That's good.
I think that's the way you have to do it.
Definitely.
To be honest, because I do really appreciate everybody. Now I'm managing. It's, I've done my time washing up. I still do my time washing up. It's part of it. You have to. But, the kids coming through now that are like, oh, I'm bored of this. I'm like, cool. I did it for, 15 years now. It's the job. Like, this is what we pay you to do. So yeah, kind of always been around pubs, hospitality, and I always did quite enjoy the little persona you get to have being the landlord, being landlady's son. And came to Leicester for university and got into a cocktail bar. So I was working in a cocktail bar because I needed it while I was at uni. Absolutely loved that. It was a totally different experience to village pub kind of thing. No, less food, not really cooking.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. Again, it was a bit more showy, it was a bit more creative, and it was just exactly the same as being a chef in the back, creative. I just used to call it my wet kitchen.
Yeah.
And
That's quite cool. I like
yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. And then I was offered a job in my favourite pub in Leicester.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have to take that. Like,
Absolutely.
I've been given a big responsibility. Of course, I rocked up to that, and the big C hit in 2019, 2020, and I'd been in the pub probably 3 weeks before we all got shut down for COVID.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, this is a bit odd. Halfway through that, the person who invited me over to work with her, she got pregnant and was just like, I won't be coming back after COVID. Would you run the place? So I'd been working there 3 weeks and I was running the place.
Amazing.
And that's kind of what I did for 4 years, which was, I absolutely loved it. It was great. It was a proper little craft beer bar. I got to inject all of my personality into it. I got to be creative, really cultivated that up. And just recently left to try and get back into cocktails and, something different again. I'm now in a little cafe deli. So I feel like I've kind of gone all the way through every single kind of hospitality job you can do, from, pot washing all the way through to co-owner, co-business manager of a coffee shop, deli / cocktail bar, which is great fun.
Has all the personality in the world.
Yeah, exactly. I get to really, really throw me into it. And I think that's something I've always quite enjoyed, is I just get to be me doing this job.
Rather than being, I suppose, oh no, you need to do this way, you need to have this, you need to do that.
Well, we all talk about it, don't we? We all have the persona when we go into the work trade, especially when we talk to people all day long. We have that behind the bar persona. We've got our kitchen one where we try not to throw a knife into the wall. And then we've got, that one that we're just out and about and living with our family and stuff. So.
I think the nice thing of that, though, is, like you said, you've done pretty much everything. You've had a taste of whatnot, and then you found what you really love at the end almost. You've gone, right, this is what I want to do. Did you, when you took over the last bar, and it was sort of, you've been 3 weeks. Was it absolutely throw yourself in the deep end and hope and figure it out on the way, or were you shown anything, or did you just have to wildly guess?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky with my hospitality career. I've never really had, like Sam's experience. I've never had bad bosses, really. I've never had people that just treat me like a pint pouring grunt. I've always been able to really throw myself in and take control of my own job, which has been really, really fun for me. And I know lots of people don't get that experience of working in hospitality. They kind of stand there, pouring pints, cleaning shelves, and they do that for 10 years, and that's their job. That's all they've ever known. Whereas I've been quite lucky to create the role around me and what I enjoy.
That's cool.
I think, but again, it's just luck. I've stayed in most of the places. I mean, I've only had 4 jobs. Like, I'm 29 now. I've only had 4 jobs, and I mean, how many pubs and bars have you worked in? You've probably
too many.
Exactly. It's like it's rare to, in this industry, to kind of stick to places.
Absolutely
that way.
And is it so those ones are all what I would class as sort of an independent type?
Yeah,
So,
I've never done anything too macro.
Yeah, and what we call corporate. Corporate side of things. Because I think, again, that's the big difference of it. I mean, you've got the beauty of being able to sort of, learn, do, and create whatever you want in an independent. You've got no sort of anyone above you saying, no, you can't do this. It's all more, let's go try it. Whereas I think when you go the other side of it and corporate, and don't get me wrong, some types of it, you do get a lot of say, but ultimately it's, no, this is what we're doing. This is how it's going to be. You've just got to deliver it, sort of thing. And that's when you kind of, it stifles some of your creativity to a point where you just go, I'm just not, it's gone.
You just live inside your box.
Yeah, you just go, right, okay, I've got to tick these boxes. That's what I've got to do. As long as I get those boxes, everyone's going to be happy with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. I mean, you're kind of set, especially with you guys, you are set within this bigger corporate kind of framework, which sometimes I wish I had. Because then I'd know, I'd have something to compare myself to. I'd have something to aim to. I'd know what the result should be.
Yeah.
And it's set by somebody doing numbers, marketing, higher ups. Whereas for me, you still do kind of have that little bit above you that's just trying to rein things in, trying to sway you. And the thing I've always kind of disliked with the smaller independent side of that is it's so much more personal. When something's not going right, or something's, not the way that whoever's got the money or is invested in this building, this business has, when you kind of disagree, they take it more personally.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of found that's something that, from my side, has been an absolute nightmare to deal with, is trying to just go, no, hang on a minute, this is my personal opinion, yes, but it's coming from a professional place. I'm trying to drive this business. I'm trying to run this business. Don't take it personally if I disagree with you. Whereas with you guys, you kind of working off as Excel spreadsheets that don't get upset when you go, actually, this is wrong. Yeah,
I think the thing is, obviously, if I had my own, if I was allowed to be let loose, it'd be mayhem. Because I've always thought about flaming Thursdays, where you set the bar on fire on a Thursday. But licensing, but that sort of stuff is, I think, really good. I think that's the beauty of the independence, and you can do these amazing things. The only thing I think for myself was especially nowadays, is the other side of it, when you could be doing absolutely amazing, and then the next minute we're shutting down, guys. We haven't got the money anymore. You're done. You've got no rights. You're not coming in today. That's it. And that was the thing that always scared me for going into that side of things. I think because I'm always been quite a safe person. I want to make sure I'm getting paid. I want to make sure Whereas I think you kind of sacrifice the fun, the extra fun, because it obviously has some fun, but you sacrifice the extra fun, the creativity and stuff like that for the
rigidness and the safety net.
There's no real job security, and I mean, looking back, every single one of them could have failed
at any point.
We could have had our record-breaking week one week and been closing down the next because of something.
Yeah.
I mean, the little craft beer bar, we had to work so hard through COVID to make sure that we did reopen.
Yeah.
Like, that was a genuine, every single week we sat down and had to go, are we going to reopen effectively? Luckily, with what we were offering, we were able to do, bottle shop kind of things, which was great because it kept me working. And we were delivering beers around. We were basically,
cool.
we used to order beers in, deliver those around, kept me active, got me out of the house.
That's really cool, actually.
And it's little things like that. You've really got to just jump at these opportunities to survive. It's not just, oh, we've had a bad week. Well, there's football on next week.
We'll be fine.
They'll be back.
Yeah.
No, that 1 week could mean, that month is so down.
There's not enough money left
to get staff.
Yeah.
You're getting rid of something. And so, the risk is always there. But, I think it's that risk-reward balance,
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Do you think, with the way obviously it's all gone so far, with all the bits you've done so far and everything else, has there ever been a point where you've just gone, okay, this has gone wrong. I'm just going to go sit myself in a job. I'm going to stack shelves. I've had enough, sort of thing. And obviously, we've all had that within the business because it happens. It could be a just bad day, a crazy busy day, a really terrible day, a really terrible week, whatever. Have you ever had that yourself where you've just gone, nope, not doing it anymore, or have you gone, no, it'll get better, and you've always believed it will, sort of thing?
I've never really had massive low points with the actual work. I don't think. I mean, the last place was a nightmare, which is why I've moved on. But relatively, I was quite logical in the fact I could take a step back and go, this is out of my control. Like, this is nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with my work ethic. I'm not at fault with this. And it didn't really throw me away from the industry, I don't think. I think I still loved that job. Like, I would have carried that job on for so long if things didn't go the way that they did. But no, I mean, it's the same. It's probably the same for you. We all love those Christmases. We go, right, that's my last Christmas.
Yeah.
That's my last
Pretty much
period.
Christmas.
I'm pretty sure Wayne's been saying that forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Because the Christmas period is coming up, and already, we're seeing the bookings come through and stuff like that, and you're going, oh my god, this is going to be, again, you hope in many ways, especially with the way the world is at the moment, it's going to be a big one because independents need it 100%, but these big places now, they need it as well. Like with everywhere, being to the point where they're just about on the breadline and everything else, and these big companies, you don't do well. Well, we're just going to sell the pub, So we're all at that. I think everyone's fighting over those customers this year, and it's going to be an interesting one because I think there's still only going to be so many customers, like businesses or whatever, who can actually genuinely afford to take people out this year. Whereas 5 years ago, everyone has a Christmas party. Whereas I know a couple of my friends who work in a store, basically they've been told, we're not doing a Christmas party. If you want to do it, you fund it yourself. And that's a big company they work for. And you're like, oh, wow, that's a company that has been around since forever. How are they not being able to afford that? So I think this year everyone's going to be fighting over these customers, especially when it comes to Christmas drinkers, when they're out and about, what people are going to do to try and, get
Dice them in,
Yeah, so it's going to be, I think that's going to be interesting coming up to that, actually.
It won't just be the same old poppycock open and 12 till 3 on Christmas Day, hoping that they're all going to, knowing that they're all going to come in because it's you're local.
It used to just be open the doors and full well you're going to be rammed in an hour.
Whereas your first November, it just was cool. It's November, here we go.
Yeah,
we're going to make up half of our year's take in 2 months. It was so easy. It used to be so easy. You just knew it was going to happen. And now it's like, oh, Wednesday I'm stood on my own and it's December 20th. I can see all these people walking past shopping and that money should have been spent on my beer. The spare money's just gone now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's scary, but it's kind of part of it. Like, trends have changed, people's habits have changed.
Do you think that, with obviously, because we see it a lot, especially this year with where we are, it's very studenty. We've seen a big change and shift in the student mentality, and obviously then we've also seen our weekends with the non-students, things like that, has really changed. Is that the same for, obviously, I'm thinking for us, but obviously with your independents, do you just still have your set clientele, or have you noticed actually, wait a minute, Jeff used to come in every day and now he only comes in once a week, and now
100%, yeah. Some of the old boys that we used to have coming through, the camera lads that would come and have 3-4 pints every day, bang on 5 o'clock, would come in and have 1 pint twice a week. And you're like, well, that's a significant amount of money dropped off from one example. If they're all doing that, that's slowly building up. And it's definitely, I've definitely seen it on both sides as well. There's kind of this nice middle band of, the out of town Prosecco and lager drinkers that still are roughly the same, I'd say. Those, brown shoes and jeans, rugby lot that come through, they've not really changed. But kids aren't drinking like they used to. And the older, generations are really watching pennies now.
Yeah, I suppose with everything in the world going on, it's probably, making the decision to have heating on as opposed to having a few beers.
Exactly.
So because I've said this a few times, I've got a prediction, 2030, £10 pint and everything else. I genuinely think that's where we're heading, if not before 2030. But do you think, is it going to get any better? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to come to a point where really there's so few pubs left or bars or things like that it's just few and far between? What do you think is actually how do you see it going forward almost?
I mean, I've been in the independents and especially in the craft beer bar, I've definitely seen it with breweries where the breweries are trying their best to keep costs low. They kind of appreciate, we're making a £8 a pint kind of beer. That is the cost of what it is because we're trying to make something a little bit more premium than the big macro brands. I don't see those getting much higher anytime soon. I think we are kind of at this price point where the breweries that I was dealing with are kind of very set on, we can't make this much more expensive, otherwise those big macro lager companies are just going to be the monopoly.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, those big macro lager companies are buying every single pub that fails left, right and centre. And they are getting a monopoly over on pretty much every single town's alcohol, nightlife, you know. It's hard not to go anywhere and just see the same 5 brands over and over again now.
I think with I suppose big brands as well taking taking on the craft beery bits that 5 years ago you thought they're independent, and then actually they're owned by a massive company. And obviously still trying to keep that independence look, but actually it's common knowledge now, so that novelty's almost dropped off as well.
Everybody sees through it now, which I quite liked. No,
it is good. It is good that you actually know where beer is and where it's from and what it actually is. Okay, so with the good days was always amazing. Obviously with the bad days, but what's your sort of, other than obviously just going home and having that hour to yourself, do you have any sort of other coping mechanisms is probably the best way to put it, to keep yourself sane in this industry? Because like us, you've probably been there where it's been crazy busy and you're not staffed up enough, you've not got enough staff, or it's been a horrible day, or everything's gone wrong, or like you say, if you're in the independent, you have 3 days of maybe no customers and you're going, shit, have I even got a job next week? What do you do to keep yourself sane in that sense? Do you do anything out there, completely away from pubs maybe, to just keep yourself focused on being human and sane?
I mean, I do. Not really staying away from pubs. I love getting out on my bike, normally cycling to a pub. It's kind of just a good stopping point. Toilet, car park, something to drink, something to eat, turn around, come back, try and get on my bike 2 or 3 times a week. That's a big thing for me. That's really being on my own out in the world. I'm really enjoying that now. Really got quite serious into that recently.
Am I going to see you with full lycra on and a big
with the baboon bum?
What about one of those really cool hats?
The Aero one?
Yeah, let's get you one of them.
No, I did consider it. But you know what? No, I
would love to see you whizzing by in that. It'd be amazing.
I might just actually wear the Aero helmet, just with jeans and t-shirt.
Yes.
I think that's a fashion style.
I think that could be really good, actually.
Part of a Warhammer club.
Nice.
Do that a lot. So building, painting, that's a really good little downtime thing to do.
Do you go to the places where you play against other people?
So I'm team captain of the local competitive.
God, celebrity!
Right,
we need to make sure that they find out about this podcast. Shout out
to them. So, to the Deathcore of Queen's Road. There you go, got them in. They'll be happy. I'm actually scoping the room out that we're doing the podcast in, because we might do ours in here at some point. So that's something. We get to tournaments quite a bit. We've got quite a few teams now, which is really good. We're all building up to a big teams tournament next year, which is my job to help build the teams and figure out who's playing who and all of that kind of stuff, which is when you've got a group of nerds that big.
When you go to the tournaments, right? So I understand that you build all your figurines and things and whatnot, and when when you play, obviously like tabletop in your own little group, you build all of the scenery and the environment. When you go to tournaments, is that all preset, all built and things? You don't,
So you get the map layouts. They tell you where to put the buildings down. They tell you what mission you're playing. They tell you any secondary missions, and then. Very recently changed the way the scoring works. So you've got like these cards that you deal, and they'll give you your secondary missions. So you get random missions that you then try and achieve for that turn. So it's quite a heavy points-based thing. Unlike chess, which is, you play the game. There's a bit of randomness to it and rolling the dice. And it's you'll have to come and play.
Honestly, that'd be so good. I got barred from Warhammer in town. I was a kid, but I got barred from it.
Did you eat it?
Impressive.
No, because apparently if you start moving the figures around while they're playing, it gets them really pissy.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I just took toys. I was playing with them. Very cool. So do you, obviously managing, I mean, that seems like a lot, but do you find, and this can sound weird, but do you find like obviously doing that sort of stuff is great, it gets you away from thinking about work and everything else, but do you also find 7 days a week almost, you're basically still thinking about work? Do you think it's almost, because for me, I'm constantly, obviously we've got WhatsApp groups, we've got message groups, we've got groups that aren't for the pubs, and we've got groups for people that don't necessarily work there, we've got so many things going on constantly. My phone is there's never a day it doesn't go off about some sort of pub, if not my own. What is that the same for you? Is it sort of engulfed your entire life pretty much? Do you think
I would have said yes until about 6 months ago. I've got very, very, with the new place, I've got very strict with that. I've got 2 profiles on my phone set up now. So I've got my personal one and I've got a work one. Literally bang on. I walk out the door, I lock the door, and I switch my phone to my personal profile. And I refuse to do anything extra out of it now, because I was, when I was in the craft place, I was constantly on my phone fixing things, emailing, phone calls. Days off were exactly the same. I was getting to like 60, 70 hour weeks if I actually kind of tallied it up. And I've very recently got very strict on I am turning off from this now.
Have you noticed a big difference then in how, I'm going to say that your well-being, mental healthy type stuff for doing that? Have you noticed actually this is such a big positive?
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's something that I think a lot of general managers, deputy managers, chefs, kitchen managers, whatever, we do probably struggle a lot, because for me, obviously the guys I work with and everything else, I don't want them to struggle in any way. If I can help them, I'm like, I don't mind, it's only 5 seconds on my phone. But then, like you say, you start totting it up and you constantly I'm on my phone every day when I'm not at work, constantly trying to sort problems out, making phone calls, whatever it might be, or at least advising. And for me, I still admittedly probably quite struggle with, if I get a message from someone, I'm like, I don't want to look at it, but I'll make sure the pub's not on fire. Oh, okay, it's not on fire. Oh, I can sort that. I know they emailed me. Or I know who to call. I'll just give them a call, or whatever it might be.
It was hard to get into it, to be fair. Like, I kind of, when I took on this new job, said, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to be. And it took me a while to realise, I'm looking at my emails again. I'm in the WhatsApp chat, or I'm checking what the till's done. But it's definitely been worth it. It's 100%. My mind is clearer. My days off are actually days off.
Yeah.
And I actually really do enjoy actually going into work a little bit more than I ever have, just because I've actually had that step away. When I go in, it's I know there's probably going to be a couple of problems for me to fix. And I've set myself this time called working hours to do it. And so, I would actually recommend it. Get the split personality.
I'm actually, when you said that, I'm going to try and figure it out. But so would that be your advice? But because would that be your advice to anyone within the industry to sort of think, what? And it's not being selfish, because I was about to say, be selfish and turn off your phone or whatever. It's not being selfish, because you're looking after yourself. And I've said it before, you need to be at least 90% okay to actually deal with everything else, don't you, really? So do you think that's the best almost learning you've had of late, or have you got any, say John, who's just about to start his first shift, would you say, yep, definitely do that? Or would you say, actually, first things you need to look at are, make sure you look after yourself? What advice, basically?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of things. I mean, you say it's not being selfish. I'd say I've actively decided to be a bit more selfish.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to say I'm being selfish and I'm looking after myself.
Yeah.
I agree with.
But is that just self-care?
It is self-care
rather than selfishness.
Yeah, and sometimes I probably do take that further.
No, that's a good thing, isn't it?
But I don't see that as a problem anymore. I make it very blatantly clear why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And people have kind of taken to it quite well. So yeah, I'd say look after yourself first and foremost, especially managers. I feel like managers are always, you are great at it because you do really care about your team. And
I care about my team. I wouldn't say I'm great at it.
I would say you are. But then there is that difference of if they came to you with a personal problem and messaged you on your personal number, that's not you. You've both got that agreement of this isn't a work thing. This is we're friends.
Yeah.
We can sort this. I will try and help you. You've come to me because you think I can help.
Yeah.
There is a difference between that. If it's the till's not working, yeah, cool. There's somebody else that can sort that.
Yeah.
And you should have gone to them. And I'm going to say, no, I can't help you with that right now.
Yeah.
And probably the other thing is know your self-worth. I feel like so many people in this industry just kind of plod along thinking, I get paid what I'm owed and that's all right. Just check that you actually are getting paid what you're owed. I've definitely been in a role where, I was doing 60 hours a week, managing this place, won an award, was, best pub in Leicester, voted pub, and I was like, do you know what? Let me just double check that I'm not having the piss taken out of me here. And so kind of went round most of the businesses in the city and was like, what's your GM on? What's your AM on? And when I kind of looked and realised that I was the second lowest paid manager in the city, I was like, do you know what? No, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
So, took that to the people above, and when they couldn't do anything about it, that's when I put my hands up and went, no, I'm worth more than this. And I moved on. I gave them that ultimatum. They couldn't do anything about it. And again, is that selfish? Probably not. But
I don't think it is, because like you say, and I've said this again before, haven't I? It's, you were working such a long period of our life, 70% on average, and you need to be paid to live nowadays. It's not that you can almost go, I'll get paid less, but actually really enjoy it. Now we need to focus on getting paid. Like that's our main focus again. And, no matter how big a venue is or small a venue is, you're still putting your 60 plus hours in. And those 60 hours, whether it's to make, a site that might do £10,000 a week or a site that does £100,000 a week, that you don't get that money. So you'll still put in that work in. So, no, I agree. I think it sounds to me like you've done the right thing, and hopefully the owners of the previous place or whatever have maybe come to realise that, or go, actually, maybe we need to think about what options we've got going forward, because anyone not earning a livable wage or a wage that is in no comparison to anyone else's is obviously wrong, isn't it, really?
And that's probably the third tip is, if you ever have those doubts, get on ACAS. ACAS is a great website. All the information's there. And probably in hindsight, I probably could have gone there a little bit quicker. And, the information's great. Any qualms, you can talk to somebody there and they'll point you in the right direction. And just make sure you don't have to go like full paperwork, legal on employers all the time. It's sometimes just healthy to have that conversation casually. But just knowing where you actually stand with those bigger issues, and using ACAS, genuinely a great website, it helps. It kind of puts everything into perspective, and when you're then looking for next jobs, you know what a good deal is, you know what a good role is, and you know where you stand within it, both sides, both you as an employee and what your employer owes you.
I like that. That's really good. And for example, let's say little John Smith, he's just 18 and he's looking to get his first bar job. Would you say to him, go for it still? Would you? Because for me, I would always say when I was just a bar member, I probably had the most fun because I had no real responsibilities other than making sure I didn't serve a child. But then it was probably the most fun ever, and I still urge anyone to do it. A, because then they might respect the bar staff and the hospitality industry a hell of a lot more. But B, I think it's such a great way to meet people, make friends, have amazing nights out, and do amazing stuff at the same time. So would you tell John Smith to do the same? Would you do the same?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's one of the best industries to have a first job in because, yeah, it is low risk really. There's very little you can do wrong that causes a big
Problem.
problem. Yeah, you can go to work. Yeah, if you go in and you don't get along with your team, that's probably the worst thing that can happen in a first job is you just join a team, you don't get along. And for a first job, for that to be your only issue, I think is great.
Yeah.
You could build up experience and there's so much scope to just go forward with it. And, you know, I've been doing this 15 years now and I've been able to do all the different sides of hospitality. Well, what other industry would you get to chop and change and go back and forth and, you know, have fun? It's just fun.
Yeah, and that's what I think hospitality always has been. It's a fun industry, and I think a lot of these bigger businesses now are sort of kind of losing that focus a bit because we are scared as a company and we are scared as little companies, big companies, pubs, whatever. And everyone's now tightening up their belt a bit. And the first thing you drop is the fun stuff, and that's when all of a sudden, well, if there's no fun, it's damn
no
hard
retention.
work 9 times out of 10. And I think that's when we're going to. I think in next year or two, I think we'll probably see a lot of people going, actually, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go work at Tesco because it's not fun.
But again, I think that's an absolutely brilliant first job to have. I think working, you know, supermarkets, stacking shelves, tills. Again, it's dealing with people. It's dealing with, you know, human beings, big teams. There's a responsibility to it, but there's also very little risk.
Yeah.
In the same way, you know.
Yeah, it's true actually.
I wouldn't compare, you know, it's that similar job of you don't really get any risk. It's good. You get your hours, you go home, and you don't really have to care about it when you've left too much. And so I'd say hospitality is obviously more fun, but working in, you know, supermarket is just as valuable.
Yeah.
And you can apply it. If you don't like working in a supermarket, everything you've done there, you'll do it in a bar, stocking fridges, restocking crisps.
You just don't have to wear a silly uniform.
Yeah, to be honest, uniform's probably the worst part.
That is absolutely the worst
Those
part.
fleeces look horrible.
Yeah. I remember when I worked at a co-op and it was like trousers, shirt tucked in, a tie, and I was like, what is this?
A tie?
Yeah, you had to wear a tie. You had to wear a tie back in the day. I'm really old. So like what, obviously with all the crazy awesomeness you've had done, have you had any like sort of, when I say memorable experiences, good or bad, have you had anything that you've gone, wow, like that wouldn't have happened anywhere else, or have you had like an experience where you've gone, this has changed my life, or, you know, what sort of your story to sort of tell someone who's thinking about going to hospitality, or maybe, you know, and like you sat around having a drink after work, what was that story, your key story almost?
Cause so many. I mean, I've worked in small village pub where you've got all the funny stories about what idiots have done in the town. Then come into a city, working cocktail bars. I've just met amazing people. I mean, sat here with you guys, like I kind of feel like, I'm flirting. And no, you just meet amazing people. I think it's always about people in hospitality.
Yeah.
That's probably been the highlight of all of the time, is meeting the people, hiring staff for the first time, having people actually work under me that I've picked.
Yeah.
And not being upset when they left me because they're going on to something so great. There's a couple that have gone on to do their dream jobs, and I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't blow your own ego and say, I got them there. But I've definitely helped them be better and get there in a way that they're happier to be.
I think sorry to interrupt. I think me and Candy always say the same, don't we? Like someone leaves us, and it's like, what are you leaving for? Oh, I'm getting that job I wanted, or I'm doing something. I'm changing. I've thought about it for years. I'm going to do this. So happy.
Yeah. People get so butthurt about people going,
what did we do wrong? But 9 times out of 10, it is they're leaving for something better, or at least when I say better, something
better for them.
It's something they really want to do. And like I said, it is. You do feel a little bit a part of it. Don't get me wrong, they've probably got the qualifications, they've probably trained, or they've probably done what they need to do. But in a weird way, they're more confident, they're a bit more, a bit more relaxed. You remember them from their first shift and to the, you know what I mean? And you just kind of go, oh.
I think that's the most like underlaid thing that we do in this industry, and that's the confidence boost.
Yeah.
You know, when you first walked into that pub, when you first poured that pint, so like now, like when we're sitting here doing this random shit, you know, like the way that the confidence just from talking to general people every single day, like you go from, well, for me, the shy guy who used to just run around the field all day like playing sports, to now being able to have a conversation with pretty much anyone in the pub.
Yeah.
You know that.
There's probably one person in particular that I can just like instantly think of. She came and was working in the pub up in Yorkshire. She was 16, wouldn't say boo to a goose, to be honest, wouldn't say hello to you when she walked in. She was that shy, that timid. Her dad had basically bullied her into getting this job. And last year, she's now travelling around Australia on her own.
No way.
And there's just this moment in my head, I just see this 16-year-old girl that would never have done that.
Yeah.
But she's going round, working in bars, working in hospitality over
Having
there.
the best time.
Having the best time. It's like, do you know what? That's a real show. You've grown up because of this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. I'd like to, maybe I'll do that one day. I'll run around it.
Backpack.
Yeah, just go backpacking and be a laugh. I won't tell anyone either. It'd be really awkward.
There's the key, Cicely.
Yeah.
Don't sell the house. I'll
No,
back soon.
I'll be back in a bit. Just leave the keys on the side and never come back. So, cool. Okay. I had a really good question and I've completely forgotten it. So that's useful.
Been doing that all day.
Yeah, I guess it's been one of those today. So, you know, like with, you know, now, what's your big plan? What's the future for you?
I'm pretty sure I'm getting out of the industry soon, if I'm honest. I mean, I keep saying, this is my last Christmas, this is my last Christmas. I think this might actually be my last Christmas. Yeah. I've got a few things lined up. I've been doing some qualifications.
Amazing.
I've decided I'm actually going to try and use my degrees, kind of. And one thing I will say about that is I've had an interview not that long ago, actually, for something coming up next year. And I've got 2 great degrees. I've got a physics degree. I've got an investigative journalism degree.
You're crazy smart, by the way. Crazy smart.
I do like
some
doing
amazing stuff.
Useless stuff, general knowledge stuff.
No, it's brilliant.
But yeah, the one thing that in this interview, all they wanted to talk about is my experience in pubs.
Yeah.
So even for me, like, I feel like I've done the right thing of doing this job, doing the roles I've done, and now looking forward to getting out.
Yeah.
It's still the most useful thing I've done.
Yeah.
Like, with these great degrees, it's like, oh, you don't want to talk about Concord, you don't want to talk about, you know, my investigative journalism things I've done, me actual investigations I've done. No, you don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about how I'm good with people, how I've managed teams, how I've resolved problems. And I definitely know that I'll always look back and be quite fond of it when I'm out. If I get out, that's the thing. I always, 15 years I've said this is my last
We've said this so many times, and I've said it a million times. And
you did leave.
I have left for a bit, but I came straight back. Like, I don't like the outside world. It's horrible. I want to come back. But it's one of those, like, one thing. I remember once when I interviewed for one of the pubs, the person who interviewed me, I had planned a whole business plan. I really focused on it. I was like, right, it's going to ask me loads of figures, going to ask me this. And she went, so what does your mum do? And I went, what? So what does your mum do? What did you do as a kid? And I was like, okay. So she knew full well she took me offside.
Yeah.
But then it was having, I think for her, she was still interviewing me, but it was the confidence to actually talk about anything and have a real conversation as opposed to, so we're going to do this much by this week, we're going to do this by this. Because the average Joe is so used to looking, like I say, in an interview, saying the right thing.
Here's my script.
You want to know that they're real humans.
Yeah.
They are confident. And
tick that box. I'm not a robot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of.
I've always failed those.
Yeah, well, but I think that's what it is. I think it's you learn to interact so comfortably with anyone and everyone, and that is one hell of a skill to learn, and that can be transferred into so many different jobs, so many opportunities. And I think for me, that's something that people do gain from this industry. There's a lot of horrible stuff. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of sort of days where you just go, I don't want to, or whatever.
That's every job.
Yeah, and that's it. I think but the stuff you get out of it compared to maybe just sitting in an office, and looking at an Excel spreadsheet, the actual personal gains, I guess, or the skills you learn are so much higher. So I would say, I've said this every time, but I think, it is a great industry to be a part of. It's just obviously at the moment it's getting a little bit tricky,
Yeah.
a little bit hard for us.
I know inevitably I'll probably end up back. Like retirement wise, I can't see myself retiring. I absolutely love working.
Yeah.
I genuinely love it. I love the industry.
You're going to be that guy, like 100 years' time, well, like let's say 50, and we'll go there, and you'll be there, like, what are you doing here? Oh, I've retired now, but I actually, I just come on the weekends and just do it.
I just want to pour pints.
I just want to pour pints and chat to
the cask
people.
beer will still exist.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine not having some kind of input into a pub, into a restaurant, into a cafe. I mean, I might be that annoying money man that owns a craft beer bar that dictates poor life choices upon some poor 28-year-old who's eating pot noodles. But
like back in my day, we did it like this.
I did that hard work. But yeah, no.
Oh god, he's back again. Sit
Yeah.
at the end of the bar. All right, lad. Or what are you doing today? Oh, I wouldn't do it like that.
No.
You know what is fun though is to think how far, like, the whole craft beer has already come, and then say another couple of years and where it's going to be then. Because we've got like weird things now that are like a marshmallow stout and what was that one we had the other day?
We had the sours a while.
Yeah, the amaretto cherry sour.
See, if you want to go beer nerdy, we can go beer nerdy, but there is not enough time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, the whole that thing seems to be going crazy at the moment for us. I mean, obviously, I'm fortunate. We've got a professional who knows pretty much anything there is to know. So I pick his brain.
There's a few things he's missing.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Like, luckily,
no, it's a no, but yeah.
for me, I know a little bit, and I like craft beer to a degree. Obviously, I can't drink it anymore, but I liked it when I did. But obviously now it really is getting quite cool and niche, and I love the fact that there is these craft beer bars where people can actually go and just experience what they want. And you might pay £8 a pint, but you're paying £8 a pint for not just that, but it's the experience, it's looked after, and everything else in between. What I will forever be sad of is when you start going into the mainstream places, and like you said, they've got all those beers have been made by someone else. That would make me quite sad.
I know exactly which word you wanted to say there.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just
I love it when people come in and they're like, oh, do you have such and such? You're like, no, I don't do shit beer. And they're like...
I love seeing that.
It was always the thing for us. So we had a local made, really great lager made by 2 Italian brewers to a German style in Market Harbour. Absolutely great. And we'd still have people coming through going, do you do Corona? I'm just like, crying out loud.
I've got some amazing stuff. Just try this for a change.
Please.
Do you want something with flavour?
The thing is, people are so sort of dialed in. This is what I drink. This is the only thing I drink. I've only ever drank this, and that's all I drink. And they're not necessarily willing to
step outside their zone.
Yeah. But then again, with the way the world is at the moment, even the rubbish beer is expensive, so they might as well buy some nice stuff.
That's the thing. Like the good beers now are at the same price as the rubbish beers, and people genuinely want to spend the money on them now. That's the thing. Like going on to like £8 pints, I have genuinely had beers in the old craft pub that were, I think, the most expensive would have been £24 a pint.
That's wild.
It was an 11% imperial stout. It was absolutely phenomenal. Tasted just like soy sauce.
Was the percentage something ridiculous?
It was only about 11%. So we were selling it in thirds.
Yeah.
But the thing with it is they'd made 150 litres of it, and I had 20 of them in that pub.
Yeah.
They didn't keg much of it at all.
Yeah, that was it kind of thing.
Yeah,
it was
and when it ran out, which it did in about half an hour, because I had people literally coming on the train from Birmingham
just
and
to try
Nottingham
it.
because they were like, well, it's not in Birmingham, it's not in Nottingham, you've got it here. And people were spending. There was one bloke who came in and went, I'll have a pint of it. And I went, I'm only doing it in thirds because I want it to go around a few people. He said, so if I order a third and another third and another third, you'll say no. And I kind of just looked at him and poured the pint. But I was like, right, it's absolutely insane that people are happy to spend that when it's a good quality product. So why are all these shit lagers so expensive and the same?
Yeah, all made it in one factory. And
it's so cool that you built that niche, though. You know what I mean? Like you had the reputation where you were that people were willing to travel like a good 20 minutes on the train at least. I
mean, there's a great app for that, so people were able to see we had it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that app for a little bit as well when I had it.
Well, I use it to check what you've got on now. It's like
I don't know.
You didn't even know you had it, did you?
No, we did have it, and then it cost too much. We got rid of it.
Yeah.
Started costing loads. So the people can log in and say what we've had, and that just gives you a thing. But we don't actually have it anymore. It's too much.
Nice.
So we're trying to.
I love how the company were like, "Yeah, this is amazing." Oh no, it's not.
No, it costs too much size. So, like, to wrap it up, like with everything you've done, everything else, and obviously, hopefully, maybe this could be the last Christmas. And I say hopefully, maybe, but it probably won't be in the world. But knowing you'll probably end up doing something awesome, and then you'll go, oh, but on the weekends I'm free, so I might just do that. So it probably won't be, but going forward, so, you know, as I say, we're going for Christmas, I think. What would you tell everyone, last sort of point, how to survive Christmas? What would you do? How would you survive Christmas, and how would you tell someone to survive Christmas this year?
Be yourself.
Yeah.
If you lose your rag, it's all right to kind of say, you know, some customers are arseholes. You can tell them, like, don't be rude.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't hurt to say to someone, remind somebody that please and thank you exist.
Yeah.
You know, it's our Christmas too.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Put earplugs in if you really can't stand Mariah Carey. Dress up. I always love dressing up. Last week, before we close for Christmas, I always make sure I'm dressed as Father Christmas, usually. Why not?
Can you please come into the pub dressed as Father Christmas? That'd be amazing.
I will.
Excellent.
I'll only if you dress up as the Grinch.
I will dress up. I was going to dress up as an elf.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I could sit on your knee.
He's playing with me now.
That sounds mate. Honestly, thank you so much for coming in. It's flown by as always, but I say with episode 10, it's nice to have a nice little guest on and double digits, and then I think that's
just a shame that our third comrade weren't
Sam
here.
will be here next time probably, unless he's working again. He's working all the hours to make money.
I have so many jokes lined up at his expense. Like, I recently found out he's not even Scottish. He puts the accent.
Yeah, he's not even Scottish. It's a lie.
He's from Stoke.
He is from Stoke. I know. I wind him up about it all the time. He hates it.
Well, he's actually born there, but
no, he was born and raised in Stoke.
And
his family live
Scotland.
up in Scotland.
He just watched too much Scottish TV and now he's got
No, he was born in Stoke, but then they moved up to Scotland.
Jimmy Cranky.
Yeah, so he's just picked it up. It's a fake Scottish. We'll rip him next time.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on. It's been amazing to obviously catch up with you, and lovely. Well, that's it.
I bet Sam's going to love this little homage at the end of the episode.
But
on that note, guys, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you, Ehren.
Nice, thank you.